All right, guys, Jack here to tell you I got it wrong. Because I'm damn sure if I would have got it right, would have come out and said, I told you so, right? So if you get something wrong, you come out and say you got it wrong, and you say why you think you got it wrong. So I think I got it wrong because I thought Donald Trump and his team were smarter than they are. That's not a pro-Trump statement at all. In fact, that's kind of a negative one if you think about it. It's Friday. Please give me a second here. Let me indulge myself with a bit of a rum cocktail there. So what I'm talking about is yesterday I put out a video and I said that I really thought that Donald Trump, when he issued this declaration of national emergency, would not actually try to grab more money. Now, there is some money that he's going to grab that he can grab. He doesn't need to do a national emergency to grab it. But there's about $4 billion that he's wanting to grab now that cannot be taken without a national emergency declaration. Actually, a bit of it might be able to be, because if you do enough backdoor conversations with generals, because this is military funding, and some of it has not been allocated, it's at the discretion of military commanders. So if you do enough backdoor hand wrangling with generals, you could get them to actually say, we're going to put it over here. But not enough, right? So I got it wrong. Now, what I thought he was going to do, for those who didn't see the video, and I will put a link in the video notes, depending on whether you're on Facebook, it's there, or if you're on YouTube, it'll be there, to the first video. But what I thought he was going to do was I thought he would come out with a national declaration of emergency and not actually look for money, but actually just say, because this is a national emergency and because the defense of the borders is under my purvey, I'm just going to take the money that I have and build the wall they said I could, but I'm just going to ignore the restrictions that they put in this bill, because this bill has numerous poison pills like, well, if you're going to put this border fence up in this particular town, you got to get like the town council, the county commissioner, whatever, to sign off on it, just to make it harder and harder and harder. A lot of these border towns are very, very Democratic, by the way. I don't mean Democratic in system, I mean Democratic in Democratic Party. And I'm not taking a side here. I keep reiterating that. Some of you, I think, have dealt with so much bullshit from the news agencies in your life. It's very hard to understand that somebody could actually come out and tell you what they think's going to happen and think's going on, what they do know about what's going on, without an agenda. I don't have one. To be blunt, for those of you who don't know me, I'm an anarchist. That means, you know, all the people are running around screaming when Trump got elected, going, not my president, like little children, little petulant children. You're part of the system. You support the system. You vote in the system. Therefore, Donald Trump is your president. I don't vote. I don't participate in the system of my own enslavement. Therefore, I can actually say not my president, which I could also have said about and did about Barack Obama. I could also say and did about George Bush. The second time anyway. The first time I was still in the system myself and I voted. And when I voted then, I had to say that was my president whether I liked it or not. You wanted a leader. You wanted to be oppressed. You wanted the slave suggestion box. So you get to have whatever you get, and that's what it is. Let's talk about what I think is coming next, though, and where we're at with this. Number one, I don't think I was completely wrong. A very important little tidbit was in the message from the White House and the statement from the White House about this that actually kind of fits with what I predicted pretty well. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying I'm sort of right. What they said was, all this money we may not need till almost the end of the year, or maybe not even until next year. Now, they haven't actually released the formal language that I've seen yet, anyway, of the national emergency declaration. So I can't read it. And see, that's something I also think you people should start doing, that to start running your mouth before about this legislation and all these things. Before you start screaming and yelling about what's in something, maybe you should read it. Now, the bill itself's 1,100 pages, so I'll give you a pass on that. But things like a declaration of national emergency, before you start flipping your shit, maybe you should read it so you know what's in it. And by the way, some of y'all need to read the frickin' Constitution. See, even though I don't want to participate in this system of enslavement, I do expect the criminals to abide by their own contract, which the Constitution is. A little side note before I go on. Right now, people are running around basically, you know, the objection when you say we need less government, and people are like, my roads, my roads. Well, right now, what a lot of the liberty community is running around with, and I mean the liberty community that's not really liberty, the right-wing liberty community, whatever the hell that is, they're running around going, my precedent, my precedent. For those of you that have lived under a rock and have bad English teachers and don't know what a precedent is, from a legal standpoint, that means when somebody does something successfully for the first time, the courts will hold it becomes precedent, and then it's very difficult to say somebody else can't do it in the future. So people are running around screaming, but Donald Trump declares a national emergency about this, then the next president, if they're a Democrat, will declare a national emergency and take our guns away. There is not a constitutional directive for the President of the United States to strip the right of a constitutionally protected right. There is a constitutional directive for the President of the United States to defend the borders of the United States of America. Those are two totally different things. It's an unequivalent comparison. That's not even apples to oranges. It's like shitty diapers to, good beer comparison. It just isn't a thing. And as I said in my video yesterday, there's been like 47 national emergencies declared. There's like 34 that are still in effect, one from Jimmy Carter. And people are like, but this is changing because Congress didn't do it, what they wanted, and then they used money that they... No, see, that's been done too. It's just not a precedent. The first time it's done as a precedent. So the precedent might be helping this one, but this one is not the precedent to help the next one. Just stop, because it's just... See, here's my problem with it. I'm trying not to give you my opinion, but to maybe help my case here, I am opposed to this decision by Donald Trump. I do not think this was a good decision. I think this was a poor decision. If I was an advisor to the president, he'd have to pay me a shitload of money to get me to do that, because I'm pretty happy farming ducks and doing a podcast and not giving a shit what anybody thinks. But if I was an advisor to him, I would have said, do not do this. All right? So I'm opposed to this, but I can make, if I want to, an intellectual argument about that. My precedent is an intellectually lazy argument, unwilling to actually understand the situation. Because from a court's standpoint, I think the president wins here. I said, I think. I'm not saying he will. I said, I think the president wins here. Not the first challenge, but the appeals. I think the president wins here. But what I really want to say is, so they put this thing out that they're not going to need the money right away. They're not going to need all of it. Just like I said, like, if you gave him $5 billion, he's not going to spend it all in the first month. I know government loves to spend money, but there's a process by which it's spent. When it's being spent on a construction project, it's spent over time. It takes time for that project to be built. So they won't need the money until maybe even next year. Well, by then, they'll be embroiled in this argument and agitation again, and I guarantee you this. I can't guarantee it. I am about 99% sure of this. The declaration of emergency will be used to circumvent the restrictions, just like I said. I think they put the money in there is kind of a, I don't know, like might as well take the shot. Because if we get it, we got it. If we don't, we can still fight this battle again by the time we need it anyway. I think that's what his advisors actually told him. But what I really wanted to tell you guys today, especially you retards on the extreme right that are like, build the wall, deport them all, and you think Trump's your guy, is why does Trump want the wall in the first place? Have any of you ever even thought about that, especially you people on the left? Why does Trump want a wall? Do you think Trump really wants a wall because he's a Nazi racist? Well, then you have a disease called TARD, Trump Anger Resistance Disorder. Your hatred of the man prevents you from being intellectually honest about the situation. That's not why Trump wants a wall. Do you think Trump wants a wall because he thinks it's going to stop illegal immigration? It's really going to work? I think Trump, being reasonably intelligent, believes that the wall may slow the influx of illegal immigration, because it will, because it's an obstruction and it slows people down. But I don't think it'll actually do it to the level he says it will, and I think he knows that. I think it just like gates keep honest people honest, walls keep honest people on the other side of them. The dishonest people who want to get over will find a way, but it will slow it down, it'll make it harder, etc. So that's not why Trump wants a wall. Why does Trump want a wall? Because Trump's done a great job of convincing half of America that if you build enough wall, it will stop illegal immigration, even though more than half of illegal immigrants simply overstay their visa and don't cross the border illegally. Yeah. But he's convinced you. He's convinced you. The wall is almighty. The wall knows all. The wall is like a God wall. And it will do what your government will never do. It will actually enforce the border. And why would he want that? Because Trump is not a Republican. Trump is a centrist Democrat. He's always been his whole life. Trump is working in the model of Ronald Reagan, who conservatives champion, but Ronald Reagan gave you the biggest single tax increase on the American people in the history of our country. They just call it saving Social Security. And gave amnesty to, what was it, like 11 million illegal aliens. Trump, if you watch what Trump's done, he's right out of the Reagan playbook. Deficit spending, etc., all of it. Tough talk and foreign policy, all of it. Going out and meeting with leaders nobody else would meet. I mean, he is literally like, go, what would Reagan do? And he's doing the same shit. He's nowhere near as elegant about talking about it. So what did Reagan want to do? Reagan wanted to give amnesty to illegals because it was the expedient thing to do. What does Trump want to do? Amnesty for illegals. DACA is just the starting point. If the left would read the art of the deal, again, I'm not saying I want this to happen. I'm just saying, like, you could put me on either side and say, if you were an advisor to these people, what would you tell them? If the left would read the art of the deal, they would come to Donald Trump and say, what do we got to do to get a deal for immigration reform, to legalize all these people? What do we got to do? And he'd go, okay, here, do this. And all you people are like, build them all, deport them all. You sound just as stupid as the people with the pink pussy hats on. That's how stupid you sound. You're that stupid. He will screw you that fast because Trump is a centrist Democrat. And a centrist Democrat looks like a Republican today because that's how far we've slid in losing liberty in this country. That's where we're at. Trump will not just sell you out on that. Trump will sell you out on health care. You get the right group of people put together, and Donald Trump will make a deal to nationalize health care tomorrow morning. Now, he won't do it by killing private health care. But he'll do it. Remember when they put Obamacare through, they had a government option? He'll do that like that. Why? Trump is a New York centrist Democrat. He is not a Republican. He's not a Republican. But Trump's been strong on the Second Amendment. Well, not exactly, but better than most Democrats. You can be a centrist Democrat and be reasonable on the Second Amendment. There are centrist Democrats that are reasonable on the Second Amendment. There are centrist Democrats that are stronger on the Second Amendment than Rhino Republicans from the Northeast. Come to South Texas, I'll show you some of them. Okay? Trump wants the wall so that he can do immigration reform. So, if you're on the right, this is the funny shit. If you're on the right and you don't want immigration reform, you should understand the wall is a bamboozle so that you'll make the deal. And if you're on the left, you should realize that Trump's wall is a bamboozle to get you what you want. But America has become so tribal in nature that literally anything the other side does, even when they agree with it, it's wrong. I swear to God, if Trump came out tomorrow morning and said, I am pro-oxygen, beautiful, beautiful O2, pro-oxygen, there are people on the left that would wrap a plastic bag around their face in defiance. But believe whatever you want. Yeah, I got it wrong, but I still got it kind of right. But when you get it wrong, you come out and admit it. Anyway, guys, it's Friday. I'm going to go have a drink, hang out with my grandson tonight. I recommend you do something too. Put the politics aside. Honestly, I talk about a lot of things, and I talk more about things that are not political than are political. And I'm tired of this shit. I've told you what's going on. It's up to you to figure this shit out for yourself now. Not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm going back to talking to you about things like my fish tanks and how to grow food and how to take care of yourself. Jack out.